Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified Doctor of Naturopathy, Dr. Stephen Cabral, shares with you exactly how you can reverse aging, take back your health, and live a life full of energy and passion, with new 20-minute episodes every single day to keep you healthy and engaged. Now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. We're here today with our Friday review. I'm Dr. Stephen Cabral, board certified Doctor of Naturopathy. Appreciate you joining me here on these Cabral Concepts. The Friday review is always a fun one, I think. I get to bring you a lot of my favorite products, but not just that. People ask me throughout the week in comments, in direct messages, hey, have you ever checked out this product? Can you check out, this particular one? Do a review on it. Have you read this book? So the Friday review is my way of bringing people a product review of the week, a quick tip of the week, a book review of the week, and you definitely want to check these out today. This is a very tasty product you're going to want to hear about, as well as this book, which just came out just a few weeks back. And I always love bringing you two research studies, but not obscure research studies that I think actually matter to you or a family member in need. So without further ado, let's dive into the show. Before we get to our product reviews, book reviews, and research, I'd love to be able to bring you just a little update as to what is going on inside of the world of Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, Equal Life, and also a little bit behind the scenes of what's going on with my world too. So if that's not of interest to you, totally fine. You could just skip forward to the podcast recap for the week or even the product review. But what I want to share with you is that this is an exciting time that we get to experience. We're literally the first generation living right now. So all of us right now living as a collective with artificial intelligence, with machine learning. And even if you take away like the deviousness or the potential for harm with AI, we have to understand is that there can also be a lot of good. And some of the studies that I'm actually going to be bringing you are only possible because of using artificial intelligence. Now, one of the amazing things, though, is being able to partner humans with artificial intelligence. So it's humans asking the questions, leading the directives, and then being able to just parse through huge amounts of data. So when you're on Google, Google is basically looking through a lot of different websites. But when you're using artificial intelligence, it's looking through everything that's ever been fed into the system, which are books and movies and documentaries and the entire internet and everything. And so it's an amazing storehouse of saying, wow, I can't keep all of that in my brain, but if I know how to ask the right questions, look at the breakthroughs we're going to have. So in just 2 weeks from now, we're going to be putting on the Reimagining Health Summit. It's not about artificial intelligence. It's not, but it is about reimagining the future of health today. And that is exactly what we're doing. A lot of people are not aware that you do not need to live into your 70s, 80s, 90s, and beyond in poor health. That there are things that you can do today to dramatically change your health so that you can increase the number of healthy years while increasing your lifespan too. So it's pretty remarkable. We'll be teaching a lot of those next generation things. You're definitely going to want to check that out. There are a few tickets left, and they will be gone, I can assure you, over the next few days. So head on over to reimagininghealthsummit.com. reimagininghealthsummit.com. There are a few tickets left, and you can purchase those. Attend with us live. I would love to meet with you. So would my team. And then collectively, the hundreds of others that will be there from all around the world. All right. Right now, over at Equal Life, before we get to our podcast recap, all single labs, literally minerals and metals test, my vitamin D lab test, all these that I have hanging out here on my desk that I'm talking about, that I'm always trying to teach on, all of those are 20% off. So the entire week, remember, keep in mind, Equal Life already brings you the lowest possible priced at-home lab test. And that is because as CEO and founder of the company, me, I said, I am not looking to make any type of a revenue model on at-home labs. I've always wanted to bring at-home lab testing to the world. There's nothing I'm more passionate about that, because there are great supplements, great protocols, there's great practitioners, all of these things. But the problem is that people don't know what to use, how much to use, or when to use it. And the only way that isn't guesswork is by actually running at-home lab tests. So I invite you to check out things like the Candida metabolic and vitamins test for gut health, the minerals and metals test to look at your mineral levels, energy levels, etc., and heavy metals like mercury, aluminum, cadmium, arsenic, and more. I mean, these are labs that we should know about. Stress, mood, and metabolism test. You want to know about your testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, DHEA, thyroid, cortisol levels throughout the day. There's only one way to do it, and that's with that stress, mood, and metabolism test. So check them out. I mean, there's probably over 25 different labs, all 20% off this week only at stephencabral.com/shop. That'll take you right over to Equilife, and you'll be able to check them all out there. All right. Podcast recap for the week. Well, on Monday, we went over a proven formula to get to your goal faster. I love this formula. I've taught it inside of High Performance Health. I've taught it inside of Mastery, and I want you to know about it as well. And I shared that on Monday's show. All podcasts, by the way, are at stephencabral.com/podcasts. So on Tuesday's show was EMFs and mast cell histamine sensitivities. So if you're sensitive to, let's just say, smells and environmental allergens and food sensitivities, etc., you're going to want to check out that show and how EMFs play into that and fill up that rain barrel. Okay, next up on Wednesday, does intermittent fasting beat calorie counting? For all the people who count calories in their diet, is there a better way? Does intermittent fasting supersede having to count calories? Check that out. Yesterday's show, should you eat a high carb, low protein diet for longevity? A little bit different, right? Interesting. Let's take a look at the research. Let's see what it says. All of those, again, are at stephencabral.com/podcasts. And today's show is 2793. stephencabral.com/2793. Head on over there right now because I'm going to go over the product reviews, book review, and the research for the week. All right, product review of the week. I've been now doing this for about 2 weeks, and it's very interesting because I have a background of someone who is very sensitive to histamines, like very sensitive, because in my genetics, I have MTHR issues, it's methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase issues. I have all sorts of mastocytosis in my background, not good for histamines. So I never used to be able to do a lot of things. For example, I'm not a big wine drinker. I don't do a lot of alcohol, things like that. But if I ever did, I used to get itchy eyes. I used to get burning in my stomach, all sorts of different things. And even healthy foods, right? So a lot of teas can do it to you, cinnamon, spices. Now I no longer have any of those issues, which is amazing. But the last thing I was willing to try, I was very leery about trying it, was chocolate or dark chocolate, because I used to get the worst brain fog, itchy eyes, itchy skin, sometimes hives, and believe it or not, I'd get acne from some chocolate as well. So now I have my decaf coffee, which I love. And what I do, and I've got a little gratitude mug right here. If you watch this on video, I appreciate you tuning into the video show. I will put in my decaf coffee. I'll sometimes put in like a little bit of nut milk. And when I say a little bit of nut milk, I'm talking like 2 tablespoons, like a tiny amount of macadamia nut milk or something like that. And I'll add 1 teaspoon of pure raw cacao powder. Now, I talked about literally the only 100% dark chocolate chips that I've seen before, and I gave my recommendation in a previous podcast. We can link that up here today. But this was the only raw cacao cold pressed powder that I found that's one single ingredient, which is 100% dark chocolate. So not 70% dark chocolate, not 82%, literally no sugar, no milk, nothing else added. It is one ingredient, which is organic cacao powder. That's it. It's just cacao, organic cacao beans. That's it, made into powder. Now check out the nutritional profile on this. 1 teaspoon is about 12 calories. That's it. So you're not going to break a fast in terms of breaking your blood sugar or spiking your blood sugar with this. So look at this, 0.3 grams of fat, 0.3, not 1, but 0.3 grams of fat in 1 teaspoon. Total carbs, 2. One of those is fiber, no sugar. And then total protein, 1. So when they say, what are these superfoods people talk about? 100% dark chocolate, not sugar added, but 100% dark chocolate, which is a little bitter. It's definitely an acquired taste, is a true superfood. And the only reason I started using a little bit of this is because I taught it inside of High Performance Health, which is all about anti-aging and living past 100 healthily. But it is an amazing product or nutrient for improving brain-derived neurotropic factor, BDNF. And I've done a bunch of podcasts on that. And this is one of the top things, literally one of the top 3 things that you can do to improve, to improve overall brain cognition and to decrease chances for Alzheimer's, dementia, etc. So again, this isn't a sugary chocolate. This is a 100% cacao. Mix it in with your decaf coffee or regular coffee if you'd like. It will light up your brain. You will feel a difference without a doubt. There are probably other brands. I have no relation to this brand, but it's called Terra Sol Superfoods Cacao Powder, cold pressed, non-GMO, USDA, organic. Again, I don't know this company, but they are the only company I found that I could find raw on it. And they do heavy metal testing. I will let you know ahead of time that chocolate has some heavy metals in it, just like spinach and other foods do. So we just have to keep that in mind. So just be careful how much you use on a daily basis and run something like the minerals and metals test to see if you're building up cadmium levels in your blood. This company does test for heavy metals, but just keep in mind, there's always a little bit of metals in chocolate. There is. I mean, I've never seen a company with a 0, with all zeros across the board. And that's because, you know what? There are metals in the ground and these things come from the earth. And so a little bit of metals, that's part of nature, right? When we eat fruits, and we eat vegetables and food in general, we're going to get a little bit. The goal, of course, is to keep those down through good liver detoxification, etc. But I wouldn't let that necessarily stop you unless you have high levels of cadmium already. So you can check out this product. I can't link to it because I don't know. It's technically, I talked about Alzheimer's, I talked to dementia, so the FDA doesn't like those things. I'll let you check it out. And there you have it. All right. Book review of the week is called The Mindful Body. I just listened to an interview by Ellen Langer. I don't know why she doesn't write doctor. She is a doctor. She's a doctor of psychology, I believe. And Ellen Langer also teaches, I believe, out of Harvard University. And what I would say is this. I enjoyed the interview enough to pick up the book. And the reason why I liked the interview, she's in her 70s now, and she's like well past what anyone thinks about her or her ideas or whatever it is. And I love that. Like, I love just audacious people that don't say things for the sake of saying them to get a reaction, but actually just to start to question these things. And this is her latest book. And it is a book about questioning what we believe to be true about our health in terms of how our mind affects the body. And so basically, as a psychologist, they ran studies and they looked at, what if you started to think about your health in a different way? What if you saw yourself in a different way? Would your health parameters actually change? And you should see the studies in the way, especially for those that are even older and some in nursing homes and assisted living, how they were able to change their biomarkers like blood pressure and vascular-based issues to greatly improved, if not rebalanced, just through certain types of role-playing and using the mind for psychological principles. So if a topic like this interests you, this is a very short book. It's about 200 pages, fairly big font, like 12-point font. It's an easy read. This is like this is within a week for most people. They'll be able to read this book. For some people, it might be 1 or 2 sittings. So I'm going to link that up here today. It's called The Mindful Body, and it's by Ellen Langer. You can go check that out. And of course, if you like interviews, you can also just type in Ellen Langer to Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast player. And you can also check out YouTube as well for interviews and videos that she's been on. For anybody listening or watching the show on YouTube, we appreciate all your subscribes and all your listens. And of course, we'd love to hear from you. Do feel free to comment below if you've read the book before, others like it, as well as if you've ever tried that raw cacao powder and maybe even in a coffee, which again, I didn't mention it before, but coffee is another one of those superfoods for the brain. And I have a podcast on whole coffee fruit, which is a specific extract that I'm a big fan as well. And that's in a product called Daily Brain Support. And you can check that out too by Equal Life. And if you want, use all 3 of those. And those are true brain-based boosting nutrients, which is proven by science. All right, let's get to the research for today. This, you know what? I'm going to go over the let's say the more negative one first, but we need to know about it. And then we'll go over the fun one, the more positive one to be able to end with here today. So when I look at, and I'm just going to pull up the research for you right now, we're looking at a new reason, and this is literally brand new that I wanted to bring it to you, a new reason for Alzheimer's and vascular-based dementia. So I've done full podcasts. I did a free 3-part series on dementia, on Alzheimer's, how Alzheimer's is essentially caused. There's not just one reason why, and also the specific protocol to be able to reverse and halt Alzheimer's-based disease. So this just came out, I can give you it 8 days ago. That's how new this research is. It was done out of Oregon Health and Science University, and here's what they found. Researchers have discovered a new avenue of cell death in Alzheimer's disease and vascular dementia. The study reveals for the first time that a form of cell death known as ferroptosis, caused by a buildup of iron in cells, destroys microglia cells in cases of Alzheimer's and vascular dementia. Okay, what does this mean? And I'll link to the study here today. So, iron is a deeply corrosive metal. And what happens is when there's too much of the iron in the body, it begins to cause oxidative damage, oxidative stress, oxidative damage, inflammation. Now, when that iron is actually in the brain cells, that same inflammation and essentially apoptosis or cell destruction takes place. This is a new discovery, and they're starting to look now more for corrosive iron in the brain rather than maybe in just the body. Now, we all need iron, okay? Iron is in foods, it's in chocolate, right? So we all need iron in our body. The problem is always about balance. It's about equilibrium. What happens when you get too much iron or your body's not eliminating it properly because of liver detox issues, etc.? Well, this is when it can actually cause a lot of oxidative stress. So always good to be testing your ferritin levels every year on your blood work, as well as your total iron binding capacity and even iron saturation rates as well. All right, so that's study number 1. Please do check your iron levels for high iron, and which is hemochromatosis, and it's really important to look at that. And then I think in the future, we're going to be able to see iron in the brain as well. All right, the last study for the day is looking at your body's own cannabinoid system. So you've heard me talk a lot about CBD in the past. We had to stop for a little bit because the powers that be don't like us to talk all the time about how nature and plants and all these things in the world can actually help us with some of the biggest diseases in our body. Well, lo and behold, inside of cannabis, and again, I'm not telling you to go out there and, smoke marijuana or take edibles or anything like that. But what I am saying is inside of cannabis, there are something called cannabinoids. That's CBD on the one side, that's non-psychoactive. And then there's more of the psychoactive component, which is THC, tetrahydrocannabinoids, right? So THC, a little bit different than CBD, but it's essentially the same molecule. And when we look at it, we can actually see that the body has receptors for cannabinoids. So lo and behold, we know that this thing from nature, when ingested in various forms, actually starts to calm the nervous system. Now, it can be overdone, and I've shared with you that actually overdoing THC or cannabis, marijuana, does affect the brain. And in a very negative way. It can actually lead to greater levels of schizophrenia, etc. So some people will refute that, and I totally understand. Again, I'm open to the arguments. I just want to say, as someone who really believes in the science, I believe that science should always be questioned, and I do believe that. So I think there's a time and place for CBD and even THC, and I've talked about that before in the podcast. Nobody really knows it, but we have a whole line that we still recommend. It's equilibriumcbd.com, and you can check it out. But you don't have to always go with Equilife. You can go with whoever you feel is best for you. But what I want to share with you, besides the supplementation that has become very popular, and again, we've been using CBD since before it was popular in 2017, here's what the science has found. And this came out, so we want to talk about new research. This came out yesterday out of Northwestern University. When you're under stress, your brain may release its own cannabinoid molecules to calm you, activating the same brain receptors as THC derived from cannabis plants. But the brain activity regulated by these cannabinoid molecules were not well known previously. A new study in mice discovered a key emotional brain center, the amygdala, releases cannabinoid molecules under stress that dampen the incoming stress alarm from the hippocampus, a memory and emotion center in the brain. The finding may reveal novel therapeutic targets for the treatment of stress-related disorders. Okay, so basically they're going to say, oh, well, we're going to use THC, because you know that the government wants to regulate cannabis. I mean, that's what they want. In an ideal world, they would like it to be considered a pharmaceutical, and so of course they can prescribe it and make money that way, which I don't think that that's the way it should be. But nevertheless, I'm sure they'll find a synthetic way to create a molecule out of it, and they'll be using it synthetically. I think it's always best to go with nature, but that's neither here nor there for this particular study. So basically what happens is this. In the limbic part of the brain, the limbic nervous system, our bodies are acutely aware of danger that surrounds us. And whenever we're getting signals in from the hippocampus or the amygdala, which is more of that old limbic part of the brain, we start to go into almost more of a fight or flight. Well, they're finding that at least the amygdala center of the brain can begin to produce its own CBD-like molecules. And these cannabinoids will start to calm the stress in the nervous system, the body, before it begins to get out of control. So I wanted to bring that to you. I would love for you to go deeper on the research if you'd like. And I'm going to link all of that up today at StephenCabral.com/2793. But the good news is this: we have easy access to CBD for those that need it. I don't think it should be the only way that people calm their stress. I think that there's great things like meditation, going for a walk, sauna, binaural beats, biofeedback, and also things like calming magnesium and adrenal soothe and other things like ashwagandha, etc., that help to calm those stress levels. So all of these things can be helpful, but let's not overlook CBDs. Let's not overlook our own brain wiring as to how the brain was actually meant to function using these molecules from nature as well. So thanks so much for tuning into today's show. I appreciate you. I thank you. I'll be back tomorrow on our Cabral House Calls answering our community's questions. Ever wonder what the best sauna, blue blockers, sleep trackers, wake lights, salt lamps, or other health gadgets are? Or what about the top non-toxic mattresses, sheets, soaps, bath products, toothpaste, and cookware? Or would you like to know the cleanest choices for hemp parts, meal delivery services, supplements, and much more? I personally curated, researched, and now created a resource page of all of my top picks that continues to grow each week. These are the exact products I use in my own life, with my family, in my private practice, and they're the ones I trust. To find out all of my up-to-date recommendations and all the details, simply head on over to StephenCabral.com/resources.